All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you're new to me, new to my channel on YouTube, please do subscribe so you can take advantage of all the current shows, all the previous shows, all the shows coming up. It is my deepest wish, desire, and intention to bring to you these amazing speakers who are sharing their wisdom, their teachings, their processes, their clearings, healings, etc., so that we can all thrive, so that we can all awaken to happiness now. And so today, my dear friend Kelly Boyer is back with us. We're going to be talking about when the body leads, the mind follows, rewiring the inner landscape through nervous system coherence and alchemical change. And so some of what we're going to talk about today is that trauma isn't just a memory, it's a nervous system state. When the body is in survival, the mind will spin, loop, and over effort, even with spiritual practices. Thank you. Yes. Coherence is the foundation of transformation. When the system becomes regulated, your perception, choices, and intuition naturally become clearer and more stable. Phase locking, in simple terms, is internal synchronization. When your rhythms come into sync, patterns can change faster with less struggle and less processing. Alchemy is not bypassing, it's integration. True transformation is a state change in the body, not just insight or story. And subconscious change works best without interpretation. The goal is to support safe reorganization of the internal landscape, not to analyze or assign meaning that could plant suggestions. So, all that and so much more, we're going to be talking with Kelly. And Kelly is a nervous system informed practitioner, educator, and guide with nearly 2 decades of experience in trauma informed care, recovery oriented systems, and crisis support work. Her work focuses on helping people move out of survival based patterns and into greater regulation, coherence, and embodied clarity. So, everyone, please join me in, wow, I can't talk today. Please join me in welcoming Kelly back to the show. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited because I see some faces, but I see a lot of names that I recognize. So thank you so much for being here. And for those of you that I don't know, a huge thank you to you as well. Today we're going to be talking about something that is actually really near and dear to me. I call it my passion. I always call it my passion project, but, I've done a lot of research experience in all of this, and ultimately at the end of the day, my goal is really to just want all of you to just really like experience yourself as you are, not as what has been created through years of trauma, conditioning, and programming. And for me, it truly does all start in the nervous system. But I'll pause right there because I don't want to. I'll just stop right there before we dive in. Because, Shefali, I always love your questions. So.
I always have so many questions, and this topic is also very near and dear to my heart. Partly because I've experienced this, right? I've been through this as well, and at the same time, I know how important it is, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people think that trauma is a mental, emotional state, right?
Mhm.
People don't talk about the nervous system. They don't talk about the gut-brain connection. They don't talk about how sometimes trauma it gets embedded in your cells, right? In your cellular memory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, people have said to me, oh my God, just get over it. It's been so
Yeah.
many years, just get over it. Like, why aren't you over this yet? Why are you still thinking about it? Blah, 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 right? And so that's why when you talk about when the body leads, the mind follows, sometimes when you are going through trauma, you're not thinking about anything. You've come to the point where you don't even know what to think anymore. You don't even know what to feel anymore. You're not thinking about your body. You're not thinking about anything other than surviving, basically, right? So and it's bringing me like really getting me emotional. But you're basically just trying to survive, to stay alive, so that the trauma doesn't take you out. I'm being blunt, so it doesn't take
Yeah.
you out, right?
That's exactly
So,
right. Hmm.
so it's very, so I'm still feeling it, right? Because as some of you know, I've been through a lot of trauma the past 5, 6 years, and so I'm much better now, right? But at the same time, it took a lot to get to this point,
Yeah.
right? And through some of that, I'm probably going off script here and like off topic a little bit, but through all the trauma that we experience, I think another big piece of it is that me anyways, goes into guilt and blame. And it's like,
Yes.
I'm a healer, I'm a teacher. Why am I not able to handle this? Like, why am I getting taken over by this? Right? Kind of thing. So this is going to be such a wonderful conversation because, I'm just going to ask how many of you have experienced trauma? And trauma can mean different things to different people. So whatever trauma means to you,
Yeah.
how many of you, if you want to type in the chat, have experienced trauma? And you might experience trauma many times, so it doesn't have to be just once. You might have experienced it several times, like myself, right? So again, this is such a heavy duty conversation, but it's
Mhm.
so relevant and it's so needed. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. And I promise I will try not to inject too many of my own things into this, but from time to time, I know I will share because spirit, calls me to share sometimes because it kind of brings, then it's not just a talk. It's like we can feel and we can see that somebody else has gone through something like this or whatever. So the experience can sometimes help to give us clarity, right?
So
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, I love everything that you shared because there's so many. I call them the golden nuggets that are in that because, and first of all, please interject and share. Please don't hold back because that's part of healing. I don't know why my hand keeps raising. Oh.
Yeah, it does that to me too whenever
Okay,
I'm
I'm
doing,
like,
because I talk with my hands, so
yeah, I do too. So I apologize if you see the hand raise, everyone. But part of healing is part of sharing and knowing, and it's that awareness for our system to know, well, wait a minute, I'm not alone in this. Because oftentimes when we're going through trauma, it's almost like we kind of go into this bubble and we think, oh my gosh, I'm so alone, no one will understand. And that is a survival mechanism. And first of all, one thing that I do want to share with everybody is that we all have survival responses. These have been created from the time that honestly that we've been born. Because the moment that we come in to be these little itty bitty humans, in order for us to survive, we have to rely on another human being to take care of us. And if that human being nervous system is not regulated, if they have their own attachment issues and they're going through their own survival responses, that is going to translate into your own imprinting. So it's in my mind, survival responses, trauma, nervous system dysregulation, it's not dysfunction, it's protection. It's not defective, it's protective. Like, we are just protecting ourselves in the best ways that we can. And here's, in my mind, the beautiful part of this is that we are doing it in the best way that we can. We are learning how to adapt and evolve to create an environment for us at whatever time that is that this starts to really start imprinting that kept us safe. It literally kept us safe. And there are moments, even as we move into adulthood, that these survival mechanisms do keep us safe. But here's where it gets a little bit difficult, is that all of that adaptation and everything that our incredible human mind, body, and soul has created to keep us safe is that subconsciously it does get coded in, and then we just automatically play these programs because nervous system response is all unconscious until we deliberately make it conscious. So what we did as our gift to survive and thrive and, just to be where we are today eventually ends up being the thing that kind of hurts us in the long run because it takes away from our authentic self. And what we oftentimes find, or when I work with people when in adulthood, they're like, I don't even know who I am. And when I do these survival responses, is that coming from me or is that something else? And so there becomes a loss of identity, and there's a lot that goes into that. And one particular thing in that loss of identity, when you start to actually reclaim it, it's known as trauma grieving. And so when we talk about grief, it's grief in a different way. And that's part of the process, but that can be a really hard process. So one of the things that I really like, Shefali, you kind of nailed it on the head, is that, nothing heals in a system that doesn't feel safe. And I feel that, and I'm guilty of this too, is that we try, instead of focusing on the front piece, we try to get to X, Y, and Z, because we think if I can just go to X, Y, and Z, then I will be healed and I can move forward. And I'm not saying that like some healing takes place, but the loop that you find yourself in is, I do this healing, and then it could be a few days, it could be a few weeks, it could be a month later, you find yourself back in the same loop, feeling and experiencing the same things. Maybe a different experience, but feeling and experiencing the same things. So for me, because I love this so much, in my graduate school, I actually did a lot of research on the nervous system itself. And not only the research I did, but there is actually scientific research out there that proves that before we can do things such as, therapy, even energy healing, spiritual healing, the nervous system has to know what safety feels like. Because if it doesn't understand or know what that feels like, there is no amount of work that we can do that will take us to that ideal healing that we want, which is really reclaiming our identity. Because it will always go to the survival response. And it does happen this happens in less than a millisecond, because our brains naturally are designed to do two things: scan for threats and predictability. And what it's predicting is this threatening, is what it is. And then what it does is it feeds immediately to the subconscious. And so the subconscious is actually in layers. So it's literally feeds to the lowest layer. The further that we get to the brainstem of our brain, the more embedded it is, the harder it is to discover, and that's the program that plays. So we really have to work at, when we talk about the root, a lot of times what's happening is we're not actually talking about the root. We're talking about the symptoms of the root, and we don't realize that. And so oftentimes we call it belief work, and belief work can oftentimes just be symptomatic work, not actually the root. So again, what happens, the brain scans, and it's either, threat, I'm going to predict this, and so I'm going to start creating something that keeps me safe. It goes into that subconscious, and it's literally like shuffling through your library that says, what was a situation that was that's familiar to this? What was the situation that kept me safe? And then again, as soon as it connects and it finds it, it feeds it to your nervous system. Your nervous system then activates. And when the nervous system activates, we then display the behaviors that we need to protect ourselves. It puts us in that survival response. So usually the question that I get is, well, how do I know what survival response is? And that's where the awareness piece comes in. And mind you, awareness is really important, but it is not the end all be all of how to really understand and start really regulating your nervous system. But we have to start somewhere. So what do? They created this beautiful thing called polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory, it talks exactly about trauma and how trauma moves throughout our system. Once we can map that out and we understand that, hey, when a situation like this or something similar happens, or when the sensations in my body feel this way, I activate. I can activate into sympathetic, or I can activate into dorsal vagal. And so we have to, so it's a so I always begin with my work, I always recommend doing nervous system mapping, because we have to know what our system is. One of the things we often discover in nervous system mapping is that we have come from a society, I'm like, as a whole, the entire world, where we've been taught that it's safer to disconnect from our body than to be connected in our body. And so a lot of people can't even describe somatically the sensations that they are feeling. They like, oftentimes they'll use words like, oh yeah, like you know, I have anxiety. Anxiety is a symptom, but there are words in your body, sensations in your body that show what anxiety is. It could be, wow, my heart rate is beating really fast. It's racing. Or I start to feel tingling sensation in my fingers when this happens. And so it's those sensations that we get disconnected from. When we get disconnected from sensations, we literally have dissociated from our body. When we are dissociated, sometimes displaying dissociative behaviors is really healthy because it is part of our protection. But when we are really trying to come back into our identity, dissociation isn't the best. And so we have to relearn our body. And that's the beautiful thing about being human, is relearning our body. So I'll kind of stop right there because I can just keep going. I mean, I'll connect all the dots and just keep going. But oh, sorry, there's one thing I do want to add. So I just want to add this. What I'm talking about today can be actually really hard to cognitively understand, because nervous system work and connecting with your nervous system is very much experiential, not logical. Because we can think our way all day long that, oh, when I'm walking down a dark alley and this guy is following me behind me, I'll know that I can calm my nervous system. And then all of a sudden your nervous system starts to rev up and you're like, holy crap, I can't slow it down. I'm starting to go into that fight, flight, or flee or freeze. But it's very experiential. So the more you can experience it for your healing, the more healing you can actually do. So, okay, I'll pause right there.
So, when I think about the nervous system, with regards to trauma, and sometimes the trauma can be such that you can't even put it into words, right? It's like I'm basically I'm treading water. I'm just trying to not drown in the emotions and in the mental stuff and just everything that's happening. So the last thing I want to do is, where in my body am I feeling this, right? It's like I don't go to the body right away at all. So that's why when people do healers on this platform, they sometimes go like, okay, where do you feel that? I think I don't feel it anywhere. What are you talking about, right? Because it's like it's like I don't want to feel it in the body because I've had so much trauma and some of it related to the body, so I don't want to feel it in the body. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
But
so,
at the
oh, I'm sorry. Can I comment on that? Or, oh, no, no,
Sure.
go. Okay,
Well,
well, go,
yeah,
go,
you
go, go.
go.
Sorry. No, no, I cut you off. I'm sorry. I get so excited. I'm like, wait. No, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude.
No, no. So what I was gonna say is like, see, now I lost it. It's like
I'm so
it's just
sorry.
it'll come back, but it's like when you're going through an intense situation, a
Mhm,
lot of it is very emotional, a lot of it is very mental. I my body shuts down, right? So
mhm,
I'm not eating, right? Like
mhm,
I don't eat when I'm stressed out. Um, I'm not feeling anything other than the emotions and the mentals. And I know the emotions are all mental as well, right? So I'm just going through and it's like everything's just looping, 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 thinking,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, thinking, how can I get out of this? How can I fix this? What can I do? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not thinking about the toll that it's having on the body because I'm barely eating. I'm not sleeping. Yes, I'm going for a walk because I have to take Neo for a walk, right? But that's the extent of it. So the trauma sits in the body, gets is held in the body somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I don't have the. I'm talking about when I had trauma in the past. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the awareness of the nervous system or anything like that. Like I don't even know back then. I said I don't even know what nervous system. What does that even mean, right? So
Yeah.
all I know is I'm just trying to not kill myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And sometimes the trauma can be that bad that that's the only way, that's the only thought you have. It's like I can't handle this. I have to get out. I have to escape. This is beyond my understanding, my control, my blah 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 blah. So
Yeah.
my defense mechanism is to run away, right?
Like,
Or to um, go within. Go within meaning not talk to anybody, don't tell anybody what's
yes.
happening, just totally,
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm alone and nobody can understand, but I don't want anyone to know as well. Does that make sense?
It makes, you know what, it makes total sense because what you're describing is when the trauma hits and you're and so let me back up. I feel like this is why nervous system work or regulation is so important because nobody has talked about it. We don't even like they don't even really talk about it in treatment. Like I come from the world of psychological treatment and they don't talk about this, which blows my mind because you have somebody that comes into your office and they're in this trauma response. You're absolutely right, Shefali. The last thing that you're wanting to do when you're in the throes of your trauma response is, so tell me, how are you feeling? Where is that in the body? And the reason that you can't identify that is actually a protective mechanism that the body and the mind does. And I always use this example, and it may seem a little extreme, but I've worked with a lot of rape victims, especially in crisis. When you go meet somebody that has been raped or has had a serious trauma, we are not saying, okay, well, tell me what happened. They can't tell you what happened. The brain shuts off. So what happens is we have the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. When trauma happens, those emotions in the right side of the brain where it's stored start to amp up. Like they go on overdrive. Well, the left side of our brain that is logical, analytical, and wants control literally takes control of it. And then it becomes so rigid that it's literally almost like it's squeezing it to try to keep it in control. And then what happens is that's where distortion comes in. So you don't ever go up and say, so tell me what happened. They can't tell you. There's no words because this is being squeezed to death. And then when we talk about what happens, what we do is we bring an emotion to it. So if your emotions are not working because it's spiraling out of control, you can't use words. So when I worked in crisis, I never asked, well, what happened? Tell me what's going on with you. The only thing I asked them is, what do you see in front of you right now? Those are things that we can do in the moment. And even if they're spiraling, even if they tell you, oh my gosh, I'm seeing that red shoe, and you're like, okay, you're seeing a red shoe. That's great that you're seeing a red shoe. Tell me what else that you're seeing. Well, I see this window. Great. Okay, so that's a safety window. You would be able to get out of that. And so you just kind of start asking questions to kind of start to separate that. Separate the two hemispheres of the brain, but we're still bringing it together. When we talk about working with the nervous system, it needs to be at the pace of the nervous system. So, for example, Shefali, you're like, I don't want to go in my body. My body is dangerous. I'm not going to go into the theory, because as soon as you say that, I'm like, oh, I could probably predict what your, like, the attachment style of your childhood was like because of that. Because that's how we start to create these survival mechanisms, right? But that also tells me, okay, so there's a disconnect, and that's okay. But we would just start going very slowly in the sensations in your body. If we can go slowly, even if you said, you know what, when I'm on my highest end and I feel that, you know what happens? I just feel like I'm racing. Okay, so you're racing. There's a sensation that we can work with. And it has to be slow. And I think that we live in a world where we want instant stuff right away, which is why we skip kind of the front loading of, am I safe? Am I safe and secure to do this? To, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this healing. And when I'm done, I'm going to be great. So at no point am I saying that doing like healing work, energy work, therapy, anything that you choose is wrong. But if you really want to have lasting changes, you've got to work on the safety first. And that is the piece that, again, and like this drives me crazy, even in the psychology and therapeutic world, that we miss. This is like the sweet spot that we miss. So then we see people who become extremely overwhelmed. And I'm talking even when we're doing spiritual healing, we become extremely overwhelmed, and then, believe it or not, we dissociate, and all that beautiful work that healer is trying to help you with doesn't stick. Or we see people who go through therapy and within like a month or two, they drop out because the nervous system is so overwhelmed and overloaded because we didn't focus on safety first. Safety builds capacity. And without capacity, we can't really, our mind and body can't, like it will hear it, but it doesn't stick. Or we have people who may have successfully completed, I'm going to say treatment, or, you know, if you go through a healing workshop or whatever, and then again, within a month, they're back where they are, and they're coming back into treatment. So when I'm talking about feeling, we confuse feelings with emotions. Feelings and emotions are different. Emotions are things like, I'm sad. Feeling is, wow, like you explained, Shefali, I just want to like lock myself up and not talk to anyone. And that feeling is isolation. That feeling is lack of motivation. That feeling is, I don't even want to be here anymore. I don't know why I'm here. And so that's what I'm talking about and feeling, because I was reading the questions and somebody was saying so the question from B was, so you're saying that feeling is healing first and foremost. And I'm going to say yes to that, but feeling in the body, sensation in the body, not what is outside of the body, it's what is inside of the body. The nervous system literally is your spiritual antenna. And so where I think confusion often happens is when in the community, everybody's like, you got to raise your vibration. You got to raise your vibration. And I'm not disagreeing with that, because when we expand and we raise our vibration, we do feel really good. But we as human beings cannot sustain high vibration 24/7. So to me, it's not about raising my vibration and being in high vibe and then shaming myself when I'm in low vibration. To me, I'll be honest, when I hear that, I like my brain literally goes la 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 la, because it's not about vibration. It's about coherence. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a dysregulated nervous system is incoherent. Versus a regulated nervous system is coherent. And being coherent or incoherent, neither one of them is good or bad. It's just the way that your system is operating. And so we can still be incoherent and understand and maybe even feel what sadness is. It doesn't mean that it's going to kick me out of coherence. But we have this misunderstanding that if I feel sad, I am in low vibration and I am supposed to be in high vibration. And it's coherence. When we talk about the harmonic field, when we talk about connecting to that field, it's not about I have to be high vibe in order to connect to that field. What connects to that field? When you're wanting to connect with your angels, when you're wanting to connect with your guides, when you're wanting to connect with source, it is not high vibration, it is coherence that does it. And that comes from understanding how your nervous system works. Because even if the nervous system does not feel safe, no, as you can meditate for hours, and you may get a sliver of that meditation, because the system, your nervous system, at like all of this will register safety before anything else. Let's see. Yes, B. I love that you said integration. It is very much an integration process. And, we all, I love the saying, I do love the saying, we're all spiritual beings in a human body having a spiritual experience. That is very true. But you know what? Each and every one of us chose to come here to experience what it's like to be human. So in that experience that we chose, we said, I am going to have the human experience. The human experience is connected to like our mechanism, our fancy mechanism that we have, our technology is our nervous system. And so when we come here, and sometimes I run into people and they're just like, I just can't do humans. Like, I don't want to be human. I just can't do it. And I'm kind of like, well, too bad. We've got to get past that belief that I have to be spiritual and up here all the time versus being human. Because being human and really understanding how your mechanism, your beautiful technology inside works, you can have an amazing experience. And then what's even more beautiful is once we learn and experience how to come into regulation when we need to, that spiritual experience that we're all craving so badly to have becomes so profound. Because again, the nervous system is the antenna that connects to that and connects to that field. And you can really experience and you can really feel it. And when we do healing, you can really have that healing experience and know that the system has integrated it. I'll pause right there.
I was going to say absolutely. The working with the nervous system, having it be regulated more than dysregulated, is what is going to give us that sense of coherence, right? That sense of fullness and completeness and safety. But if our nervous system is, not calm, not regulated, it's in shock, it's in, I don't even know anymore the proper words, but then we cannot fully and completely create our lives. We cannot make choices from our heart or that are aligned with our soul, with our desires. We can't make those choices because we're coming from that place of disharmony. What's the word that's coming? Scattered, frazzled, disorganized, right? And basically not coming from love, but we're coming from fear. And that fear-based energy is only going to create more of the same, right? So when it comes to feeling safe, not necessarily like in our body, yes, but in our experience, in our human experience, can you give us some tools, techniques, tips on how we can every day on a regular basis feel more safe?
Yes.
Oh, more safe is not right. It's just feeling safe, period.
Yeah. You know, Yes, I can actually. So this is one of the things that I love, because I love practicality, but I like practicality in doses. So like I'm going to go back to meditating. Like, you could, like, again, you could sit there for 30 minutes and an hour meditating. But if the nervous system is in hyper arousal, just so that you guys know, when I reference that, means I'm in a fight, flight, freeze, or even fawning mode. And so if you guys don't know what fawning is I'm using my nervous system to regulate your nervous system, the environment around me. So I will shapeshift. I will overplease, overgive. I will be anything you need me to be that is not me, in the hopes that if I regulate your nervous system, my nervous system will feel safe. And that doesn't happen. Anytime that we attach to somebody else's nervous system, our nervous system will go into a bit of a heightened state, because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this is not mine. So when I talk about hyperarousal, I'm talking about those states. When I'm talking about hypoarousal, and Shefali, you mentioned it, it's like you want to close off. People might call you lazy. You're not lazy. Your system is shut down. It's collapsed. And so we experience it's in that section, which is that dorsal vagal collapse that happens. We call it a feigned death. It's literally like our body is slowly dying. This is where you find people who have suicidal ideation. Because what happens is when we fall into that dorsal vagal, which is a survival response, we get really deep down in that response, we then cannot see a minute or an hour ahead of us. All we see is what's happening right there in that moment. And again, that's that left hemisphere squeezing that right hemisphere to try to shut it off. Because part of what our brain does is we plan, we prepare, I'd like to call it our future, or our premonition. We can see into the future. Like, after this, I'm going to tell you, I already know, I have 2 clients that I'm meeting with later. That's me being able to live into that future. So we do have to live somewhat in that future. But when you get stuck in that dorsal vagal, I'll just kind of talk to you, Shefali. When you're stuck in that dorsal vagal, that hypoarousal, part of the reason why your system feels like that and you shut off or you shut down is because of that. Because I bet you, if you were in there and I asked you, Shefali, what are you having for dinner tonight? You wouldn't be able to tell me, because all you know is what's happening right there in that second. And what's happening right there in that second is, I feel miserable. I feel this. I'm experiencing this. And that's all you know. So when I talk about nervous system mapping, these are things that we talk about, because the more that we talk about it and the more that you understand your system, I can't tell you what your system is doing. I mean, I could be like, well, it sounds like this, and you would know from your system if that's a yes or a no, right? But in nervous system mapping, we start bringing that unconscious up into the conscious, so that when maybe you're out in public and all of a sudden that heart rate starts going up and you're ready to, actually, this is a freeze response. You're like, I just need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. You can recognize that. And it doesn't mean, oh, well, I recognize it, I'm going to stop and I'm going to hang out in this, in this store where there's millions of people. It means, okay, I'm recognizing that my nervous system is in a survival response. And all that I need right now in this moment is to just walk away and be out of there. And that's okay, because once you walk away and you're out of there, guess what? Your brain starts scanning and it says, okay, I'm safe, and you can start to do things to help make you feel safe. So let's talk about those things. Literally, one of the best I love this, is box breathing. And I'm going to tell you, box breathing is really good if you do know how to connect to the sensations in your body. So I'm going to talk about this in steps. So if you can connect to the sensations in your body, breath work is the best thing you can do. Even if you just breathe for 2 minutes. It's one of the best things. When we breathe, and mind you, we breathe like 60,000 plus times a day. Every time we take a breath in, we are communicating to our brain. And what we're communicating is, I'm safe or I'm not safe. This is safe, this is unsafe. So once you, let's say you leave and you get to a place where there is safety and you start to breathe, you can start telling your brain, okay, I'm safe now. I'm safe now. And what you'll see is you'll start to see your nervous system, it'll start to regulate out. So breathing is one of the best things that you can do. The other thing is that when we were little, going back to when we were babies, right? And we needed other humans to take care of us. Part of that taking care of us is the holding and the caressing of us, right? Holding us when we're crying and we're upset. Holding us just to love us. Or when we have a boo-boo, right? Mommy hugs us. So caressing and learning what works for you is like, maybe you step out and you start going like this. Because this sensation, I can tell you right now, just doing this, I can feel the sensation in my body. Because this is something that works for me. Or sometimes when I'm working with people and I could tell that their nervous system is amping up, they start swaying. They'll move forward or they'll go like this. And you know what I do with them? I just sway with them. So if you're with somebody, because the other question I get is like, oh my gosh, this happens to my husband or my wife. Like, what am I to do? And you see your husband and your wife going like this, you go like this. Because part of attachment and feeling safe is being able to mirror something that is safe. So you just do this and it's okay. Or maybe it's just, I just need to caress and hold my face. Because if you're in a fight response, our body physiologically locks up. And the reason that it locks up is because it's literally putting us in that mode to survive. So even when you're in that fight, flight, or freeze, you'll notice tension in the neck comes up, the jaw begins to tighten. This is mine. Mine is a jaw thing. And it's really bad because it messes up your teeth. But your jaw tightens, you'll feel your shoulders go up. In fact, your hands even start to go up because now I'm ready to fight. And then you get a rush of blood that goes to the extremities because, holy crap, now I have to run. So your body is preparing for that fight, flight, or freeze. And so it's not like, to me, our human body and the way that it works is so amazing because all of this stuff happens within a half a millisecond to keep us safe. Like, our bodies are designed to keep us safe and it knows what we need to do in that moment. But when that moment is gone, then we, unfortunately, because we've created all these patterns, we have to reteach the body what safety really feels like. So breathing works, caressing yourself works. Even putting your hands and putting pressure on top of your head, because you're putting your hands on top of, it just went out of my head, but we have this, it's our it'll come back to me. But we have this section in our head that connects our hemispheres. If we grow up in trauma, it shrinks. So what happens is this part also gets activated, but if you can just put your pressure on your head, it actually helps. And so what I always recommend is using your fingertips and putting your fingertips on there and just pressing, because it sends a response that I'm safe. Because if you're not safe and you're ready to run or to fight, your hands aren't going to go up here. So it triggers that response for you. So now let's talk about people who oftentimes, yes, sorry.
Corpus callosum.
Thank you very much. I'm like, it's a colossum of something, but I didn't want to give you guys the wrong information. Thank you very much. So let's talk about those that struggle so bad to connect with their body when they're in a survival response. So oftentimes people who can't connect with their body, a lot of times what happens, like I said, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, like I really just want to hold you, because you grew up in a home where like your parent, like your parent was physically there, physically present, but never present. So you didn't have that opportunity to really understand what safety feels like in presence. And so we oftentimes will find this in abusive homes. We'll find that if there's an alcoholic or a substance using parent. We'll find this if we have also what's known as a disorganized, fearful parent. So literally what happens is that environment creates chaos. So that's what the system attunes to, is chaos. So when we go into that mode, your system's going, oh, well, I'm going to create chaos because this is what I know and this is going to bring my safety. What happens in that chaos is we completely dissociate. So things that can help those that are really struggle with, connecting to your body. So I'm going to tell you, breath work doesn't work in this. Because if you are in this state, this is what you look like when you breathe. And I witness this. And you'll think that you're breathing in slow and breathing out the long exhales, but this is what it looks like. Guess what you're doing? You're telling your brain, I'm still in this threatening state, because you're creating hyperventilation and you don't even know that you're doing it. So we change perspective, right? It's about, tell me, what's under your feet right now? And so we call that orienting. When we can start orienting to the room that we're in, because our eyes love to orient. We're always orienting. But if we can look at, oh, I have a window here. Oh, that's wonderful. You have a window. What else do you see? Name 3 more things that you see. Well, I can see and I can feel this chair I'm sitting under. So you'll notice, like, as you start to orient, those feeling words start to come. Oh, you can feel your chair. What does it feel like? Oh, it feels really comfortable. It makes my butt feel really comfortable. So we have to do orienting things and grounding things. So even just standing up and noticing your feet on the ground can be enough that will start to relax the nervous system. So, and other types of orienting things is that, we use this a lot in crisis. We'll be like, name 5 things that you can see. Name 4 things that you can touch. Name 3 things that you can smell. Name 2 things that you could taste. Like, so really what we're doing is we're just orienting you to your surroundings and your body. I have I'm going to tell you, I have like a whole toolbox of amazing tools, but those are usually the quickest things that you can do. And I'll tell you, for me, what works for me, and obviously I can't do this in public, but yoga is really good for trauma or when your nervous system is very spun up. So I do what is known as the rest pose. And so I lay on the floor in shavasana. I scoot up to the couch and take my legs at a 90-degree angle. And then I lay there. If my mind starts to race, I let the mind race. But what's happening is there's a physiological thing that is happening as the blood and everything flows, and my brain starts to slow down. My body starts to relax. And so I do that every day for 20 minutes. It's guaranteed. That is what I do every day for 20 minutes or more. It depends, because sometimes I fall asleep doing that. But every day, that's what I do. That is part of my soothing technique. My other soothing is oftentimes you'll see me, I'll be like this. You'll see me touch my face a lot because that's soothing for me. And you'll see me, even when I talk to people, I'll be like, yeah, because that's soothing for me. So it can be simple things like that, or just applying pressure to your forehead and to the back of your brainstem. That stuff like that helps. So I'll pause right there. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Thank you. And one of the things I do, and I teach to my clients, and I told this to my daughter one time when she was like getting all anxious, and I said, you know what? Take a deep breath. focus on the bottom of your feet and just be for a moment, right? So just it's like just being present in the body, being present in the moment. That will help to calm you down and calm down your mind, whatever it's thinking, and your emotions, wherever they're going. And just that alone, again, can bring you out of that whatever anxious state you happen to be in, right? So that is something that I do quite a bit for myself as well, right? Just take a deep breath, focus on the bottom of your feet. And because I tend to be in my head a lot, right? So it's
Mhm.
like it's about being back into
Yes.
the body and being back into the present moment. So all of these are techniques, tips, etc., that you can try and do for yourself and play with them. Like I'm gonna do the one where you're lying on the floor with your legs up. Like, I'm gonna try that for myself.
I want to tell you,
So I think that'll
it's
that'll be helpful. That'll
amazing.
be yeah. I'm gonna do that today. I Neil is gonna wonder what is she doing, and he might like come next to me and start to come on top of me and everything. But it's like it's okay. We're just
Yeah.
gonna do it for a few minutes and see. But it is about calming down the nervous system and being back in the body and feeling that you're safe in the body and in the moment. I think um, that words being safe, having safety, feeling safe can be foreign for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
So I know when I was growing up, like for the first 6 years, I don't remember anything. And then after that, I don't think I felt safe after that. I'll be honest. I don't think after that I ever felt safe again. And so it's it's at the time, I mean, if I try and think about it now, it's like, oh my God, that's like what was I experiencing? But it was chaos, right? Chaos. And so uh, if we don't have that feeling of safety, right, when we're trying to now regulate our system or try to process through trauma, it can be difficult because I don't know what it feels like to be safe. Like this is when I was going through trauma in the past, right? It's like I didn't know what it felt like to be safe. And so if we can now come to that place in ourselves where we can feel safe for in the body, in our experience, I think that will go a long way for us to move forward, to start to process some of the trauma. And I know it's not always about processing, right? But it is about sometimes even, and I think B mentioned it earlier on, it is even about just allowing and acknowledging because I was not allowing, I was not acknowledging. It's like I just don't want to be in this situation, right? Kind of thing. Um, but if you can be in that state of allowing and acknowledging what is happening, that is going to speed up, I think, the process of moving through whatever experience you're having with more ease, right?
Yeah, well, and you know what? Just being and allowing is processing. So we think that in order for us to process, we have to have like this big, like, aha, profound thing. And that's not what I'm going to tell you, that's not what nervous system work is. It's gradual, it is patient, it is gentle. And you may not even realize that I hate to say this, that you're processing until all of a sudden you're in a situation and you find yourself, like driving. If anybody else lives in Arizona, you know that we are the worst drivers ever. And I came from LA to here and I thought LA was bad, but we're the worst drivers. So for me, when I get into my car, my brain automatically goes, I'm in a car, this is threatening, now it's stepping into predictability. So what does predictability do? It starts bringing up things that correlate to what that threat might look like. So when I'm driving and I finally like, especially if you, like, again, I don't know who lives in Arizona, but if you get on those loops, holy crap, in Phoenix, those things can be pretty scary because people drive crazy. That's just what it is. And so what happens is now I'm going to tell you, kind of going back to the mapping. So now I know my heart rate starts to speed up. Okay, I'm starting to go into that fight. It could be that fight, flight, freeze, whatever it is. So I noticed that. So what do I do? So here's something that I want to give you because this works whether you're in your body or not. If you're an in the body or not person, music. I now drive. I mean, I love all kinds of music, but when I'm like this, I switch it off and I put on like bilateral music. Because bilateral music bypasses the conscious mind, goes into the cortical, it goes into what is known as the cortical cortex. And what it does is it starts to soothe the nervous system, because it's telling the brain that you're not in danger. So a lot of nervous system work, a lot of times, what you'll find, they'll use the bilateral music. For me, but if I'm in like a really heightened state, I'm gonna be honest with you, bilateral music doesn't work for me. What works for me is eye orientation. So, for example, I'll use this. Yes, Cindy, my girl, she lives in Arizona near Tucson. So she knows the loops. She knows how crazy drivers are here. So I just wanted to shout that out. Cindy, I live close to Phoenix. So I know, I just came from Tucson. So I know about where you're at. But, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got distracted. I'm not distracted. I was like, woo. But okay, so let me kind of reorient myself. So remind me what I was saying, Shefali.
You were talking about the cortical
yes. Thank
cortex
you.
Or something.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So our eyes, you know the saying, our eyes are the windows to our soul. It's so true. So when I'm working with somebody and we're doing any sort, if we're doing nervous system mapping, if we are doing the nervous system integration process, brain spotting, whatever it is that we're doing that's focused on the nervous system, I'm watching how your eyes are going. Because when we talk about heightened states, we can't control where our eyes go. And the moment that your eyes go, mine loves to go up and to the left. At the moment that your eyes go to a particular spot, that immediately tells me that spot that's there is it's bypassing the logical mind, going into that cortical cortex, which is really in that limbic system. And so it's searching. It's trying to search for a resource to help me when I talk about it. So a lot of times when I work with people and I catch that, I'm like, stay at that spot. Because what happens is we have this immediate thing where we want to move from the spot because we think, oh, like it's kind of like the nervous system will kind of get this like, whoop, I'm in there. And so we move from the spot because what we're moving to is to find something that tries to keep us calm and centered. But with the processing that happens, especially if you have somebody who's holding just that beautiful space for you to just allow you to just be and say and feel safe with what you're saying, staying in that activation, actually, believe it or not, you start to process. It bypasses that logical mind. Even though you think that you're speaking logical words, you'll actually kind of bounce around and you go into that deeper part of that subconscious that I was talking about that then finds that root. So when we talk about the root cause, we've been taught that, oh, let's find the root cause of that as if it's really bad. The root cause isn't the thing that's bad. The root cause is actually giving you information on how to resolve that, how to heal that, how to process that. That is how amazing our bodies are. So when we talk about we have everything within us, we really do. So when we find the root, what it's really telling us is this is the thing. And now as you bypass that and you go into those depths, into the depths of the deeps of the subconscious, and you start to process that, you're processing it from a different part of your brain that again bypasses the logical, and it's actually doing work and you don't even know that it's happening. And you'll see that with people, and I'm telling you this because it's really fun once you learn this, because you'll watch everybody after this. You'll see them, they'll talk about something and they'll look up and you'll see the process happens because they do things like this. They'll do a deep blink, or you'll see them blinking. They'll be looking up, and then you'll see them going. The eyes start to flutter, and they don't even know it. So you are actually processing that. I don't know. Do you guys want to give this a try for fun, just for funsies? Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's do this because like I said, it's very experiential, so you have to try it. So I just want you guys to think of something that maybe like irritated you, bugged you, maybe rubbed you the wrong way. It could be today, it could have been a week ago, it doesn't matter. I just want you to
Just
think
gonna
about
say, so as soon as you said that, my eyes went up and to the left because I'm
it.
starting to search and look for, okay,
Yes.
what can I pick up?
Yeah, because you're processing information. We're always processing. We can't not process. Like it's our brains don't allow us because that's what our brains are here to do is to process thing to bring in information for the mind to do something with, right? So I want you to think of that thing that kind of rubbed you the wrong way. So just get it in your mind. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about that, but I want you to orient just I don't know which way my camera's mirroring. So if I go in the opposite direction, I'm sorry. But I want you to just sit there and move your eyes to the right. And just sit there. And as you move your eyes to the right with that thing that's bothering you, I want you to just notice, is this making me start to feel calmer? Am I neutral, or is this activating me? Like when I move my eyes over here, does that feel, that sensation, does that intensity start to ramp up? And just take notice of it. Now, move your eyes to the center and look straight ahead. Still keeping that irritating thing there in the back of your head. And then ask yourself the same question. What do I notice? Is this activating for me, or do I feel pretty good when I'm in the center? And then orient your eyes to the left and do the exact same thing. And once you can identify, so now mind you, there's some people that go, well, when I take it to the right or the left, I feel activated, and that's okay. That's just where your spots are for this experience. And we house them in all different areas, but the eyes tell where it's at. So I don't know, does anybody want to share where their activation was? You don't have to share what you were frustrated about, but just could you feel a difference?
I'll tell you, and then anybody else who wants to share, you can either type it in the chat or you can raise your hand. Okay. So for me, I got activated when I looked to the right and the left,
Mm-hmm.
and in the center, I was calm.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was looking straight ahead, I was calm, not feeling anything. But when I was at the right and the left, I could feel the energy within me building.
Yeah, like isn't that crazy? Mine, like I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10, mine's to the left. So when I'm thinking about something that bothers me and I go to the left, I can literally feel my body. I'm like, ooh, there it is. Yeah, it's crazy. And you know what you're doing when we're doing that is your body is naturally bypassing that logical part of your mind and going into that cortical cortex that says, "Oh, you brought this information up. Well, let's see if we can find it." There are some people whose eyes will bounce all over the place, and that's okay. It's just know, but most of the time people's eyes will go to one side, or they'll orient down into the right and down into the left. So, yeah, kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, whenever I'm thinking of something, I definitely go up, and it's like I'm looking up for sure. It's like the answer is there, and it's going to come down, kind of thing. So that's interesting.
Does anybody else want to share?
I'm sure you all have some experiences as well that are, annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Frustrating, etc. I can't be the only one who has, stuff that is triggering.
And you don't have to share what's triggering you because, in all honesty, like even if when I work with you, I don't even have to know what it is. I just have to be like, just bring it up, and I can watch the shift. So I also do something called brain spotting. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's been around for, I want to say 10, 15 years, but it's actually coming, like, I love it because it's like coming out into the mainstream. And so what brain spotting is exactly that. So I literally can sit with you. You can talk as much as you want. You can say as little as you want, but all we're doing is we're finding that spot of activation. And once you focus on that spot of activation, your brain will start processing. And like, I worked with someone yesterday, and I can share this with her. She won't mind. She started doing it, and she's like, my brain, it's almost like my brain is kind of racing a little bit, but it's like this calm racing. And what it is that cortical cortex is shifting through that limbic system. That's saying, oh, we need to find this resource. And after about 30, well, depending, because it can take about 30 minutes, hour. After that, all of a sudden, everybody says the same thing. Whoa, I got some clarity on that. Because our system craves clarity. We want to have clarity. There's a difference between understanding and clarity. Clarity is that aha moment versus, oh yeah, I get that. I logically understand that. But the system will have that. And then the beautiful thing about our body that says, oh, this is what we're needing to work on. You will continue to, believe it or not, in the background, work on that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. It will keep integrating and processing. So Linda said that she to the right she was activated, center was neutral, left was like futuristic. Oh, I love that. So that could mean, Linda, that your right is actually, so there's also another way that we can do it. We don't always have to like focus 100% on the activation. The left could be your resource center. So that's where you feel like, even though the center you felt neutral, it could be that the right is where your resource is. So when we're working together, it might be that, we orient to the left. And then when that orientation needs a break, we can orient to the left or the center to tap into that resource of what makes me feel calm, neutral, grounded, safe, right? And then we can orient back. So I'm going to tell you, like, full transparency, for so long, I wanted to not be in my body. I experienced so much trauma that being in the body was so dangerous to me that I did everything that I could to not be in it. And then as I got older, I started realizing, wow, I really do want closeness in my relationships and not be scared to have that. So my attachment style is, and everybody's like, ooh, when you say this, but no attachment style is better or worse than any. It all has its things, is that I'm considered a dismissing avoidant. When I get close, or when something comes close to me, my entire mechanism shuts off. Maybe my superhuman thing is that I can shut off pain, like physical pain, and not feel it. Emotional pain gets repressed, so then it's going to come out in another way. But I can shut that off. And like, I've had friends that go, and please don't think differently of this, but I'm just being transparent. We all experience this. I can go from being so loving and caring, but the moment that can hit, and if that triggers a sense of feeling unsafe, I can be as cold as a fish. And that's part of my survival. But now I map that so I know, I'm being cold. I'm in survival. What is it that my mind and body and my nervous system is saying is unsafe about this? And then that's when you can start really, kind of picking it apart. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? And it's really about being curious. The more curious you are, I'm going to tell you, the more regulated you can become. But you have to really, but there's that connection. You've got to be able to really really what we're learning at the end of the day as humans is how to be human in our body. How do we feel? How do we experience life? And I am going to kind of add this, a lot of people are like, I want to manifest this. Manifestation is all about your nervous system. It's not how many positive thoughts can I think, how often can I visualize this amazing thing. And even though in that moment I may feel really good, but then an hour later something happens and like I have this low level of constant flow of anxiety. Manifestation is nervous system is your nervous system capacity and regulation. Because remember, I said our nervous system is the antenna for our spirituality. That is what connects to the field. If my nervous system is not in a coherent state, and I'm not saying it has to be perfect, because all of our we move in and out of different phases and levels of coherency. But if I am coherent, then I can connect to that field of of manifestation. And then there's a whole nother psychology of that called our reticular activating system. What happens is when our nervous system is coherent and it is regulated and there is something that we want, again, back in the head, we trigger what's known as that reticular activating system. So the brain goes, oh, this is something that she wants. This is something that is good. I'm going to find every resource that I can to bring it to her. So I just want to say this. So if you're ever with somebody that's like, well, you got to think more positively. You got to do more affirmations. You've got to do, more healing. Like you got to do more energy work. Like, please don't be fooled by that. It always comes down to to the nervous system. Like where am I in this moment? How is it reacting? What are my behaviors doing that demonstrate that I might be dysregulated? So
I love that. So that could explain why some of us are not getting the manifestations that we're wanting, even though we're doing everything that we're supposed to. But it's about looking at, okay, how is my nervous system? Is it regulated or is it dysregulated? And what can I do to change that to be more regulated more often, right? Again, it's not going to be 100%, 24/7, it's 365 days, right? But if more of you is regulated than less time dysregulated, then you can make some traction in your life. That's what I'm getting from that last little bit, right?
yes, sorry, but find that support system where that they're not going to judge you. So whether you're working with somebody who understands this and can meet you where you're at and hold that space, maybe it's a friend that you have, maybe it's a family member. Like that's also part that is that the nervous system is needing. Again, remember, we're social beings. So as being a dismissing avoidant, I want to be social. When my nervous system revs up, you know what the first thing I do when somebody tries to come and comfort me and give me a hug? I go like this. Don't touch me. But at the same time, even though I'm doing that and that's my survival coming out, there is this part of me, and this is the other part, and this would be like a whole nother hour of talking about moving into that guilt and that shame. Like that's part of what gets triggered. The guilt and the shame are two of the things that are the most potent things that show up in our body. Like when we talk about beliefs, when we really connect the dots all the way down, it usually comes to feeling guilty or feeling shameful about something. Mm-hmm. And so, again, I really want to reiterate, please know all of you are phenomenal. The fact that we have these survival responses and that we've been able to adapt in the way that we have is incredible because it has kept you safe all the way up until this point. We are adapting. That's all it is we're just adapting to what it is that our mind, body, and soul knows for that moment. Not defective, protective. And that's so important to understand. So, when your nervous system does that, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, your body is doing exactly what it needs to do. Like, if your body didn't react in some kind of way, truthfully, we would die. Like, just like, if we go across the crosswalk and there's a car that's coming and all of a sudden our system goes like, holy crap, and we take off running, that's a survival technique. If we didn't have that and we just kind of was like, yeah, I'm just going to use this. I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but I'm high vibing every day and that car comes across, you're not going to be high vibing much longer if you're dead. Like, I mean, that's just the reality of it. So for me, and I hope that you guys are feeling this way too. Like, our system is so beautiful. Like, I am so grateful to have it. But I'm also grateful for the fact that, you know, now there is information and there are people out there that want to help me also understand how to keep it, like, how to keep it in coherence so that I can feel good, so that I can manifest, so I can have relationships, so that I can have really good conversations with people. Or, you know, even if I want to be in my solitude, I can feel good and not be bothered with the word boredom and feel like I always have to be doing something, that I can be at peace by just being. And I just, you know, like I said, for a long time I wanted to float up in the clouds. I did not want to be human. And then as I started really researching this and experiencing this, I was like, human is pretty cool. Like, I want to be human. And then the more I stepped into that human of really working on my safety first, rather than diving into all of this healing that wasn't really sticking anyways, boy, did becoming a spiritual being really open up. Intuition opens up. My insight opens up. Everything that everybody always says, oh, I want more of this, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to connect with my angels, start with the nervous system, because that's where you connect.
I love that. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. So, again, like I said at the very beginning, this is so relevant and so needed, and I'm glad somebody's talking about it. So, thank you. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and we're going to talk about this special offer package. It'll just take 2 seconds. But in the meantime, if you'd like to work with Kelly one-on-one on the call right now, please raise your hand. Or, you know, if you don't feel comfortable raising your hand, you can type a question in the chat as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hold on one sec. Right, you should be able to see my screen. So Kelly's package is a micro mindscaping session. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so what does that look like and how does that work, Kelly? It's a 25-minute micro mindscaping session.
Okay, so I love mindscaping. So mindscaping is a very gentle way of going in and you experiencing and discovering the landscape of your subconscious. Our subconscious talks to us in symbols and metaphors. And so what you'll find is you'll go in and you'll be like, whoa, like what's going on? And it's just metaphorically speaking to you. But in this, what we're doing is we're going to, because a lot of times, you know, again, people come and they're like, well, I don't understand. Like, I don't really understand why I can't get from A to B. And so we can actually do a mindscaping session where metaphorically, so I'm saying this, and symbolically, we can get into that part of the subconscious that will start looking for that landscape that's connected to whatever the issue is. This is how great our body is. I don't even try to guide it. I trust that whatever your body and your mind and your whole being is telling me is exactly what you need, because you know it better. Like, your self knows everything better than what I would do, even intuitively. So we go in there, and what we'll do is we will map and landscape the subconscious in regards to whatever it could be. Like, I had somebody come up to me, like, I did a mindscaping, again, no names and she won't mind, but like, she was like, why can't I receive anything? We did a mindscaping on that. And so mindscaping is just another way of being able to like get in there, to bypass that logical mind, to get into that cortical cortex, to really kind of help you begin that processing system. All of this, every technique is to start the processing system, to allow the integration to start happening. Because the beautiful thing is that, like, I know all of you have had this. You've had a session and you walk away from there and you're like, that did nothing for me. Well, that's not true. If we get into those deeper parts, all of a sudden 2 weeks later, you're like, wait a minute. That's where that clarity hits. So the brain is always working, and it really is trying to work for your best interest. But this is really what it is, and it's fun. It's just, you know, I'll just kind of guide you through that. You'll have fun. You'll just move and you'll move through it. And then when you're all done, that is your landscape. That was your landscape for the day. And I'm going to tell you, nobody's landscape is exactly the same. There may be some similarities in that, but everybody has this beautiful, unique landscape because that landscape matches who you are, which is unique. And and it really does. It can work for anything. And when you're done, I'm going to tell you, I have yet to have somebody that where I've done a mindscaping and they came out and they're like, I feel awful. You come out and you do feel very good. And like, you may not know what shifted, but there is a shift that happened. And, and that's really the fun part of that. So I do offer 25 minutes because in all honesty, that's about how long it takes, to do that. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. It sounds fascinating. And it sounds like, especially when you're stuck or you have like, I don't even know what the next step is. I mean, God forbid I know what the next 10 steps are. I don't even know what the next step is, right? Because you're just stuck in that. Your mind is just going through loops and it's just not there's no clarity, right? So it's about shifting that state into something more coherent and giving you that sense of clarity, whether you get it in that moment or after, because as you said, your mind is still working after the session as well. So it continues to find I guess the answers that you're looking for, right?
Yeah. And like everybody that's on this call, like I said, this is very experiential. So I could use all of these words to try to explain it, but until you experience this, that's really where that aha moment happens. Is it okay if I share something else,
Sure.
Shafali?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so even on my website, because I understand that it is very experiential, like I also offer if you want to give like the orientation a try, I offer like you sign up for an orientation guidance call. We'll talk about whatever thing we need to talk about for guidance to where you need to go to move to the next level. I don't know why I can't spit that out, but but also I'll give you a 15-10 minute like experience of eye orientation, because like I said, we can explain all of this, but the nervous system wants to experience. So if we can experience that, then it really does give you more of an idea of what this work is about. And it's not scary, because when we think of trauma, we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to dig into that. It's very scary. It is not. It is gentle. I'm not going to say you're not going to cry, but it is very gentle. We're moving at the pace of your nervous system. We're not going to move any faster because your system can't handle that. We're not going to overload it. But, usually a good 10-15 minutes of doing the eye spotting, I'm just telling you, you'll see what it is. So I do offer that as well to see, is my system, the readiness of my system, is my system ready to do that? And if it is, awesome. If it's not, that's awesome too. It's just
Mhm.
information.
And what is your website? I'll put in the chat as well.
So I have it in my name. It's there's several ways that you can get to it. It can be kellyboyer.org or kelly-boyer.com. Perfect. That is, I don't know, that's how you can get there. And it's right on the front page. You click on it. And then if you guys decide, hey, I want to try and give this a go, I want to see, mindscaping and the orientation are two different experiences getting to the same thing. So if you decide, hey, this is really cool, I want to give this a go, you will have to fill out just some questions, but in the box that says, is there anything else you want me to know, just put in their brain spotting or BSP in it, and I'll know that you want to give it a go.
Yeah, sounds good. So BSP, or you can just put BS, and Kelly will know what that means,
Yeah,
right?
I'll figure it out.
So I love that. Thank you. Thank you for offering that, because I think sometimes people need to they don't quite understand sometimes it's not logical, again,
Mhm.
like you said, it's experiential. So until you can experience it, then you'll get it, right? So I totally understand. I'm both an experiential person and a logical, conceptual, critical thinking person at the same time.
Yep.
But just because I've read so much. But no, this was amazing. And what I like about this whole conversation is that regardless of how we have grown up, regardless of all the trauma that we've experienced, regardless of all that, now you still have a chance to work with your nervous system, to regulate your nervous system so that you can then start to create what you want, so that then you can start to be more intuitive, talk to your angels, guides, etc. more, and be, that high vibe 5D person that you would like to be. You can't be that 5D person if your nervous system is dysregulated.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not feeling safe in your body, in your reality, you cannot ascend, as some people, will talk about ascension in that way. You cannot go through the ascension process with ease if your nervous system is out of whack, is dysregulated, and if you're not feeling safe. And that whole feeling safe in the body, feeling safe in the experience, being here. A lot of people still have this thing about, I don't want to be here. Why am I here? I'm a star seed. I think Tanya talked about that yesterday. I'm a star seed. Blah blah blah. All that wonderful stuff. We all are, but we all chose to be here. We all chose to have this human experience. The human experience is not always fun and games and easy. I can tell you that, but it is what we chose to have these certain experiences so that we could evolve, grow, expand in consciousness, etc. Right?
Yeah, and we chose the hardest school ever. Like if you ever listen to like a lot of the channelers, they'll be like, we think as we're experiencing this that we're like in kindergarten level, but we're not. We are literally in our graduate PhD level. And if you're wanting to, because I do hear a lot of people, oh, I'm a star seed. I like it's really hard for me. But you know what? Like you said, Shefali, we're all star seeds. But here's the thing: the reason that we came here really is to learn how to be human, to have human experiences, and to really embody that. Because there is no other star seed that really gets to experience the emotions that we get to, and the intensity. They don't really get or understand what polarity is, and polarity is a beautiful thing here, because it's in that polarity where we learn how to, I'm going to use this example, I'm either hyper arousal, but there is that common ground of regulation. So we get to have choice and autonomy in that, where other star seeds, they're very sentient beings, but they don't get to experience that. And I'm going to tell you, that's why we're so taken care of, because we are such high level aliens is what we are. We're such high level aliens that they're learning from us. We think that we're learning from them all the time. That's not always the case. They are literally learning from us because we chose to be humans.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
Yeah.
like, that to me, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
They say that this is a school of hard knocks. It is the school of hard knocks because
Yeah.
we chose to experience these difficult situations, experiences, so that we could learn, expand, evolve, grow, expand our consciousness, etc. And at the same time, assist with the planetary ascension as well. So we're not just having these experiences for us, we're also supporting the collective and humanity and the planet. But if we can work on our nervous system, have that be regulated, then we can experience even more, not necessarily bad stuff, but have greater flow and ease in our experiences, I'm hoping.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's true because again, trauma heightens things. When we start to really learn and map and really experience our nervous system to help us to get into that coherence, a really bad car accident may not last in your system for 20 years. It may be something like once we get into coherence, I'm not going to say that you're not going to go into a hypo or like a hyper or a hypo arousal, because we're surviving, right? That's our system. It naturally does that. But when we can, when we can connect the conscious to the unconscious, that's where consciousness really lies, right? When we can connect that together, a bad car accident, when we step out of it, may not get lodged in the body because we have learned how to regulate our system. And again, regulation isn't like, boom, all of a sudden I am nice and centered and feeling good. Regulation might be that I'm just sitting outside of that or my window of capacity. Window of capacity means I sit in here and I'm social and I'm feeling good and like everything is hunky-dory, right? We all have that. We do all have that. But oftentimes it might be just sitting on that window of capacity. That can be regulation for you at that time. And that's okay. Because you're still aligning with coherence. Sorry, Shefali.
No, I was just going to say, so nervous system regulation is another tool in our toolbox to assist us on our path and on our journey in our ascension to create our lives with more ease and to manifest all those things that we desire to manifest, whatever that they happen to be. But it is a tool that can help us do all that and access those um, higher states of frequency, higher states of vibration, higher states of consciousness.
Yeah.
It'll be easier and it can assist us. So I think this was brilliant. I just loved it. So,
Thank you.
so this whole conversation, because I can see um, how it has my dysregulation, how it has affected my life, and how when my nervous system was regulated, how magical my life was. I can see the difference, right? So it's so for the past, couple of years, better now, but for a few years, I definitely was not regulated, no matter what I could do. It was just overwhelmed, right? Big time overwhelmed. But the thing is, even if you are experiencing that for yourself right now, that feeling dysregulated, there are tools and techniques that Kelly shared with us. Plus, you can go to her website and have that 10-15 minute session with her. That will also help you with the brain spotting, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Etc. can also help you. And of course, we all do things like meditation, breathing, being present in our body. We all do energy healing, etc., frequencies, listening to frequencies, etc. They all can help. But again, for me, what this is coming back to is, are you feeling safe?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have to feel safe in order to create your life, right? Otherwise, you're creating out of fear. You're creating out of dysregulation. You're creating out of chaos. So, I think this is really helpful. So, of course, um, if you're feeling great, awesome, right? But if you're not, then I would highly recommend you go back and watch this again. Check out the special offer page. Have that 25-minute session with Kelly. And then see how you feel. So Kelly, I just wanted to ask you any last words of wisdom, because there was just so much in this
Yeah.
conversation that you shared with us. I just loved it.
I have a tendency to like really jam pack stuff. But for me, I just want people to see that there is another way. Even like, when you feel like you're in the depths of that complete despair, there like I just want, if I can even plant just a little mustard seed of hope of saying, well, wait a minute, there is another way. I'm, if you didn't hear anything I said and you just said, oh, hope, I would be okay. Totally okay with that. I just want all of you to see who you are And there is years of conditioning and trauma that have happened. Like I said, the moment that we're born, we've got to be taken care of by another human. And I'm not faulting the other human that's caring for me because they're in their own survival or trauma response. But at the end of the day, I can't control what my caregiver couldn't give me, but I can control what I can give me now. And part of giving to me is getting back into that coherence, regulating my nervous system, and holding myself. And I just want you all to know that you can do that too. Like, you can do that. And like I said, I'm more than happy. I do love holding space for people. I've seen and heard it all. So whatever you have to say or share, there's no judgment, because I'm telling you, we're all struggling and surviving from something. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be getting in touch with Kelly because, as some of you know, I'm still, I'm good, but I think I can be better, right? So, things sometimes take time. Asha, do you have a question for Kelly?
Absolutely. Just want to say, Kelly, that I love all the information that you're sharing. I was just like
Mhm.
Shefali and probably everyone else, just mesmerized and just absorbing everything that you were just really, it was like a educational knowledge, right? Session with you today. But curious to know, as far as that, I think we've all been through, trauma in different situations, and the whole goal of going through this process, right? Is it to just get to balance and center and be at peace? So from that place of peace, we are able to have more, not control, we could just be more coherent with life itself. Like, what, and I'm just trying to understand, like, what state are we looking to be in, and then being empowered from that state of peace when we are able to feel safe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think you nailed it. I'm telling you, all of this is about coherence. It's not about, like I said earlier, it's not about being high vibe and expanded all the time. Coherence can look like, I hate to say that, coherence looks different for everyone. So maybe coherence for you is like maybe we should do another one of these where I teach about the window capacity in polyvagal. But maybe coherence for you, Asha, is, I'm not quite 100% like comfortable right now where I could just like lay back and let it all hang out, right? I might be like right there on that edge where I'm like, I'm kind of ready if something does happen. That's okay. That might be, I'll say for now, that might be what your coherence is. When we understand where our coherence level is, and the way to really understand that, honestly, is through the nervous system. How is my nervous system reacting? When my boyfriend says something to me, and do I fly off the charts? Do I run away? Do I freeze? Do I completely collapse? And maybe that time it was, well, I felt a little bit anxious, but I was able to really have maybe more calmness to my system. That's an example of coherence. I mean, ultimately what we're wanting is, like, if we could, and I'm going to tell you, it is almost impossible because we do have these survival responses, is to feel calm, collective, and at peace 24/7. Remember, we're human. We have that mammalian brain and that reptilian brain that causes us to understand survival. So it does get triggered. But, at the end of the day, it really is about what does my system feel like that feels good to me, that feels coherent, and I don't feel like I'm constantly on edge and jumping around. Or I don't go directly into that collapse where I feel like, nothing ever works. I don't know why I'm here. Why am I still alive? And that's being really dramatic, but it's being in what our tolerance is, that says, you know what, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Like, when I go out in public, if I used to work with a lot of people who had who had who who had panic attacks in public. And so the goal is not to be necessarily in that perfect space, but to bring it down to where they were coherent enough that when they were out in public, that they wouldn't panic and pass out or think they're having a heart attack. They could identify, okay, this particular environment doesn't feel safe or feel good to me. It's okay that I leave. And maybe I go from a really busy shopping mall, which I'm going to tell you gives me social anxiety, to a shopping mall to the park that's across the street. And I may not be in that window of tolerance or capacity where I'm like, yeah, I'm fully at peace, but I'm also not in the state of where I feel so unsafe that I think that something bad is going to happen to me. I'm going to pass out. I'm ready to fight someone. That's the other one that I witness in public all the time, is like when somebody attacks like a cashier or something, I know that what's triggered in them is that fight response. And so for me, when I see that, I just have compassion because I'm just like, oh, he's just having a response to something. But to me, it's being able to identify, well, what is my response right now? Am I safe? Am I unsafe? What can I do in this moment to make myself feel safe? I don't know if that answered it, but
it does.
Okay.
All I hear, like the last word from everything that you said, is just feeling empowered, right? Just
Yes.
being aware of what is happening in your environment, in your internal state, and then being at a place where you're at balance to make a decision to remove yourself if you are not comfortable, and find that space where you are. So empowered is what comes to mind.
And I love that word because it is. Because once you start, I always call it your technology, our fancy technology. Once you start understanding your human technology, this beautiful creation that is inside of us, there is this sense of empowerment because you get to choose to take control of it, not something that's triggering you or somebody else that's caught like that's causing that trigger. The nervous system's just giving you information. If I can get that information and I know what to do with that information, and really a lot of times what it is awareness and then something somatically, then I'm in control. I am in my own power. And there is a lot of strength in that. So thank you. That was a good question. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Of course.
Awesome. Thank you, Asha. Susan, you want to unmute?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good. How are you doing, Susan?
You've actually helped me in a way today with just a conversation. Short story. How can I feel safe when you have a vision challenge? I go outside in the real world. Well, guess what? There's obstacles and the vision ain't seen right. So I'm always on alert, defense, whatever. How do I control that situation then? Because it's every day. Like you were saying about feeling safe. How do I put myself in that safe zone when there's all these challenges? Because my central vision for detail, I've lost some of it. I'm trying energetically to get it back, but you're right. Part of the whole problem is feeling safe. And the other thing is, my husband is almost like my protector. I have to learn also to receive the help, but I kind of, since I lost my independence, I'm kind of like ticked off because why was this taken away from me? Why did like you said, like you were talking about, when you were talking, you were almost like talking to me. I'm thinking, well, that's how I feel. Why doesn't anybody get this but her?
Yeah.
And I thank you for that, because you brought up in me points that are like, that's exactly how I feel, but nobody's listening to how I feel. They're just trying to solve my problem and they can't.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I don't know how to feel safe, because I'm never safe because of the obstacles, because of the vision. And I mean, when I'm with my husband, yes, I feel safe, but there's always that little bit of trust me.
Yeah.
But it's like I have to rely on someone. I can't rely on myself. And that's, how do I overcome that with the nervous system then? As you can
So
see, I'm already getting worked up with my
yeah,
hands, like you
I
said.
can. And you know what? And that's perfectly okay because this is where we meet you at, right?
Yeah.
And for us to work, there has to be some sort of activation, right?
Right.
So whatever you do, don't suppress it. Just it's okay. Like, and I'm guessing we're among safe people. So there's another piece to this. Like I said, we could talk for hours about this.
Right. I know.
So what you're describing is your eye orientation. So what I'm hearing you say is my eye orientation isn't really good. So because of that, I'm not safe. And I'm going to tell you that's not uncommon because we see first before the other senses step in. One of the things that can be done is still working on the somatic, my body, but maybe it's not my body from the perspective of eye orientation. It's my body from the perspective of what's called proprioception. How do I, in this environment, where do I take up space? And it may sound a little weird because you're like, I've got to walk, but you know what? The truth is again, the brain works very quickly. So even if you had your eyesight, it's orienting to what's in front of you. Proprioception comes in. Well, vestibular comes in, which means honestly, how is my balance? How am I internally feeling? Because it's like car sickness is a good example of that. Car sickness is an indication that you're not safe. That's what your brain is interpreting it as. And then there's proprioception. How do I take up space? And space can be my body and then the layer outside of my body. And this is the beautiful thing about proprioception. And I kind of, not that I love it that your eyesight is challenged, but bear with me. I love it because when we can really connect into our proprioception, and we learn how to, I'm going to say, regulate the nervous system, man, does your insight and your intuition about your space heighten so much. And so when we talk about people who are blind, when you're blind, all of your five senses heighten, and then we have these extra senses, right? So, but what happens is your proprioception really heightens, and it's knowing, and it's not seeing the orientation of your body, it's knowing the orientation of my body. And so it's just, it sounds like people are trying to solve it by saying, oh, well, your husband's got you. And you're like, no, that doesn't work for me because I'm an independent person. I want to also know how to take care of myself, right? So it's about working with the nervous system and how you take up space. Because when I sit in this chair, right, a good example is kind of like when I sit, or just even when I go out in public, I know this is my body. I know where we'll call it your energy field is. It's like when somebody walks into your energy field, when you're very proprioceptive, you can feel them. And you're like, okay, there's something there. Well, that also translates into objects. And so you may know, okay, I got something that's over here to the right of me. What am I feeling? Is there anything that's over to the left of me? Nope, I can feel that. And again, the nervous system's going to read, well, if I take this step, is it safe or is it unsafe? Right? And this is all learning. This is all just learning and practicing and doing. And you go, oh, I feel safe if I take 2 steps to the left and walk forward. Then I feel like you're really stepping into the magic of part of your gift, right? So
you're right. Yes, my gifts have increased with intuition. Yes, I see the angels. Yes, I see the other side. They have profoundly increased. And you're right, with the proprioception, I rely on my other senses, but it's like the body almost says now, wait a minute, let's go this way. And I kind of navigate that way now, not even really thinking about it. But yet, it's funny, when my husband is there, it's just the nervous system calms down because there's help.
yeah.
you're right. I never realized that before, but I feel more secure then. Like when I hold his arm, it's like, okay, I won't fall now.
Yeah.
And I sort of calm down. When I go out with my girlfriends, a lot of them forget I have an eye problem. I'm like, excuse me, I can't see that right over there right now. Oh, yeah, that's right. But I'll kind of navigate, like you said, by feeling out what's around me, but in an unconscious way almost.
Yes, and that's actually really beautiful because you're working in that process that's down here at the brainstem and the limbic system. You remember when I talk about getting to the root of things? That root has found you a resource, is what it is. But and again, you talked about like struggling to receive when your nervous system isn't safe. It goes back to that manifesting part too. Like none of us are going to receive. So just working on I would say mapping and understanding and really just really getting really knowing you, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm going to say that's not a bad thing that you can trust, it sounds like.
Right.
Maybe to a certain extent. I don't want to say you completely trust, but like you can trust your husband, right? So that goes back to the nervous system needing a social support. And that's okay. And that's okay too. And as you work with your nervous system, what happens is you do unlearn those adaptive abilities. Like I'll use me for example. I talk about my attachment style is being avoidant and dismissing, right? My action style is independent, self-reliant. So what does that mean? It means that when somebody wants to help me, I'm like, no, I'm not helpless. I don't need you. But the truth of the matter is, right, is that's my protective mechanism stepping in, because that tells me that there was somebody in all the years of your caretaking said, I'll be there for you. And the moment that you needed them, they let you fall.
You're right. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's okay too. So what we do is we're going to turn that around, right? And one of the reasons that piece comes up is because there's a piece in here that probably needs some processing that says, well, I don't trust myself, so I'm not going to trust you. And it could be just a teeny tiny piece that's just throwing it off balance, but it can be processed. And like you can't.
If I had a session with you, could we work through this? That I would have tools. Okay, I might book a session because somehow you just understand what I'm going through, and if I can help myself in that way, understanding, it will also help my husband, who I love dearly. He's my soulmate. He is my main support, but I want him to also be in a relaxed state, not always on guard for me. And this is one way I can help myself, but also let him understand that I'm better now. I can be okay, if that makes any sense.
Yes, because our nervous system ripples out. So what you'll find as you continue to work on this, that the people around you really do shift, because they're going to shift according to the regulation that you have.
Okay.
Yeah. And
he picks up on that, and he goes, I'm here to help you. And now you're not, and then he gets up, in his own way, because he can't, it's the male. He's the protector, but he can't fix my problem. And I'm not trying to have him fix it, but I want to help myself, that he knows I'm still okay until one day this problem a miracle may happen. I'll get my vision back. I don't know. I'm hoping for that. But in the meantime, I got to cope this way. But I want to cope in a way that it's good for both of us, not just me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It makes total sense to me. Because we are energetic beings. So when I am dysregulated, and let's say you step into my field, you're going to experience that, and you may not even know what it is that you're experiencing. And so that's what's happening. That is what's happening with your husband, because dysregulation is happening to you. So now he's in your energy field. He doesn't understand it. Like, I'm going to tell you, a lot of times none of us understand it, but he doesn't understand it. But he's trying to react in support to the dysregulation. Right. But when I'm regulated and you step into my field, like, I'm going to feel pretty good to you. I mean, that's just the truth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I need. I need to just kind of accept and move on, but where I feel safe about this. And that's the whole thing. I'm not safe.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm
thank you
always
for
on
sharing.
distress mode, in stress. Not all the time, but when I go out somewhere, then it hits home.
Yeah.
In my house, yeah, I'm safe. I know everything is, whatever. But the minute you put me in another element I'm not familiar with, well, then forget it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
eyes
And
get worse, the body gets worse, and it's like, okay.
well, Susan, thank you for sharing that, because that's a lot. Thank you for being vulnerable. Like the same, you too, Shefali. Like you guys were sharing your vulnerabilities. So thank you. And to me, that's always the first step of saying, hey, this is what happens to me. And like, and like, it's okay. So yeah. And just so you know, Susan, there's people who did there's someone who commented in the chat. Like you're supported. Like somebody, like, do you know what I mean? Somebody else is saying,
Yeah.
hey, I get that because I experienced that too. So thank you for sharing that and allowing
Thank you. Tell
her to
whoever,
be seen.
thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Susan.
Oh,
And just oh, sorry, I muted you. But I was just gonna say, Susan, it's like even when I go somewhere that I'm not familiar with, oh my God, I get triggered, I get all stressed out, and it's like it is not my. I like control, right? I like to. I feel safe when I'm in control. So that tells you something about myself, right?
right,
But
right.
yeah, so I totally understand. But there is hope for us. Like Kelly was
No,
saying, there is hope
yep.
and there is support and there are resources available for us. Okay.
And we're survivors.
yes.
Absolutely.
And matter how
We're
you look at it,
thrivers,
we are
Susan. We're
survivors
not
of
just survivors, but we're thrivers.
Yep, you're right. We keep on moving, keep on trucking.
Exactly. Thank you. Good to see you.
Now, how do I book a session though? Is it going to be on your page?
Yep. It's on the page, and the email that I'm going to send out, there'll be a link to Kelly's special offer page. You can just click on that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for everything.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everyone that it took the time out of their day to sit for like 2-3 hours to be with us. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, Shefali. I always love being
Thank you,
here.
Kelly. Yeah, this was such a wonderful conversation, like I said over and over again, because it's like this is so relevant. And in our community, it's all about light and love, high vibe, all that wonderful stuff. But at the same time, if you're not feeling safe, you're not going to get any traction, right? So again, this is another tool for us to feel safe, to regulate our nervous system, because our nervous system is a key part of the ascension process. It's a key tool for us to continue to ascend and create and manifest, etc. And if we're not paying attention to it, we're not going to go that far. I don't think, right? So
Just real quick to answer Sarah's question in the
yeah.
chat. She said, "Can we say or see our nervous system is our empath part of us?" I'm gonna say if I'm gonna be honest, I don't fully know how to answer that because I'm going to put it this way. I think it depends on what the definition of being an empath is, because some people have the definition of being an empath is I can feel and experience what other people are experiencing. And then there's the definition of the empath of I can feel and experience everything that I'm experiencing. So no, now that I talk that out, I'm going to say yes, because our nervous system experiences people just like I was saying with Susan and her husband, but it's also how we're experiencing things. So yeah, it can be our empathetic, like our empath self. You know what, guys, even narcissists, as much as we want to say they have no empathy, they do feel and experience everything about themselves. And that is a form of empathy, because you know what? It's coming from the nervous system. You can't just walk away from from your nervous system. So I always struggle when people are like, it's a narcissist, they have no empathy. I'm like, well, they do. But their system is, again, all about them. So they're reading they're reading it and experiencing the empathy of their system. They just don't have the capability yet, because I believe that anyone and everything can change, yet to read the nervous system of other people. So I hope that answered your question, Sarah. Thank you. I'm like, ooh, I love when people make me think and I got to talk it out like that.
I love that. And, and even with empaths, I think a lot of us who are on these types of calls are empaths, right? So it's even more imperative for us to really look at our nervous system, to really look at, is it regulated? Is it dysregulated? Am I feeling safe in the body and in my reality? And how can I feel more safe, right? Or just feel safe, period. Whenever I say more safe, it just does not sound right. You can't be more safe. You're either safe or you're not.
Yeah, it's safe or unsafe. It's one or the other. But we all know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, this was brilliant. So much
Thank
wisdom in
you.
this call. Please, everyone, go back and watch and listen. I will have the recordings out late, a little bit later, and please check out the special offer page. I did mention the micro mindscaping session with Kelly. There is a payment plan available, and of course, if you are an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code. But this was brilliant, and I have some work to do.
You know what?
So
We all do. I mean, I hold space for this, but you know what? I remember I'm human too. I have the mammalian and reptilian brain, so like I have moments where I spiral too. Like that's just what it is. But instead of shaming myself and feeling guilty for it, I try to reframe it and say, "Ooh, my body is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Now how can I work with that?" And
yes.
I think that really makes the difference, because again, that's the beauty of us. Like that is the beauty of us. Like we get to survive, we get to experience things. It's incredible. So,
Yes,
all right, I'll leave it
absolutely.
there because, like I said, I could talk all day, and people are like, "Okay, enough already."
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this life is a blessing. Sometimes it may not seem like it, but it is, because we are learning so much. We are growing, expanding. We are helping the collective also to experience things and process things and just continue to move forward on the ascension pathway and in our lives and on our journey. So it is a gift. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. I totally understand. But
Yeah.
please, use one of the tools or techniques that Kelly shared today for yourself, and just play with it. Just feel into it and play with it and see how it makes you feel. Especially, if and especially if you can. I mean, I don't want you to be triggered, but I'm sure you can think of a situation when you were recently, and then use one of those techniques to help calm down that nervous system. Okay, so I loved it. I'm going to use it for something that happened just 2 days ago, where I definitely went into the fight response. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that was. So interesting. There's a call center, but you know what I mean.
Oh well, that says it all right there. How do
You
you
know
not
what
go
that's
into a
like.
fight response?
All right, so thank you so much, everyone. We'll be back next week, so I'll see you then. But definitely, check out the replays as well. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, and thank you, everybody, for all your questions and comments and
Mm-hmm.
feedback in the chat as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
So awesome.
All right, bye, everyone. Have a great afternoon, evening.